spiritually. A fundamental teaching of Hasidic philosophy from its founder, Rabbi Yisroel Baal Shem Tov, is that a person may live an entire lifetime just to be able to do one favor for another human being. The caveat, you don't know which favor and for whom, so you always have to err on the side of caution. Devorah and I moved to Clinton to help make Jewish life more accessible, fun, robust, and to help students feel safer, more proud, and connected than ever before. In short, to fulfill Rabbi Yisroel Baal Shem Tov's teaching. We're excited to move forward into this next stage of Jewish life for Hamilton students. We're excited to do it with so many of you. And I'm excited to see more Jewish students find refuge, friendships, community, meaning, and identity at Chabad for many more years to come. Thank you. We're now going to move on to the next part of this. First, we have a few, just to give you an outline of what's going to happen, we have a few short presenters, and then we'll have a presentation, a larger presentation on the actual project, and that's the agenda for tonight. So our first presenter, I'd like to welcome a very special person. We have many such people with such descriptions that frequent Chabad. Gabby Nakkab is from Long Island, and she's a current student in Hamilton. She just finished her second year. From the first moment she came to Hamilton, she made Chabad her home and really made Chabad feel like home for everybody who comes. She is not yet a president, but she will tell you that one day she will be. And she is one of the many, many wonderful students that we have. And so I would like, with no further ado, to welcome Gabby to share some words.
Hi, everyone. I'm Gabby. I am a rising junior. I'm so excited that I get to talk to you guys about why I love Chabad so much. So first, I want to talk a little bit about the familial aspect that Chabad brings to our campus, and then just how inspired I am about the Jewish community that Didy and Devorah has brought to our campus. So for me, I am a very big family person. I'm always spending time with my cousins and my sisters and my parents. So as an incoming freshman, I wasn't really used to a world where my parents were just a step away. So coming to Hamilton, I was really excited to embrace this newfound independence that college offers, but I can't lie, I was going to miss having my big family around me, always willing to take care of me very adoringly. And while I thought I was going to lose this when I came to Hamilton's campus, I did not, and that is because of Chabad. And Chabad itself is a pretty incredible organization because they've just created these homes away from homes for so many college students and for Jewish people around the world. But while Chabad is very special, the Wax family is truly one of a kind. If you've met them, I don't really have to explain. If you haven't, book yourself a trip to Clinton right now. They are my extended family, and anyone who steps into their house, they will become your family too. For me, I was thinking of two stories that I can tell you to just show how selfless they are. And there are so many, but the first that I was thinking of is my freshman year, there was a crazy COVID outbreak. We had so many students have COVID that we had to have 6 hotels from New Hartford to Utica, all nearby, for us to stay in. And Didy and Devorah made each of us who couldn't be at the Shabbat table that week Shabbat care packages with a meal and wine and sides and challah. And they got it to each of us before Shabbat came in, even though they had to prepare their whole house for Shabbat and their kids. And I will just never forget that day, getting my package and being like, wow, they didn't forget about me, even though I am not on campus. Not that that was a surprise, but it was just amazing to feel. And another story I was thinking of is when we actually also in my freshman year had a school-wide blackout for a few hours. And Didy and Devorah texted all of us students and said, you guys are welcome to come down the hill, charge any electronics, come get a hot plate of food. And it is just these simple things that of reminding us that we have a home off campus to go to, that just makes me so appreciative of having a Chabad and most importantly, having the Wax family in our corner. And truthfully, I cannot imagine my life at Hamilton without Chabad. I am so happy to have this familial factor that I find at Chabad. And Hamilton's campus is quite isolating at times. You know, in the winter is cold and it is long, and we all want to be with our family at this time. We as students just need that reminder that we have a family looking out for us that's not an hour drive away or a whole plane ride away, but they're right there, Didy and Devorah, and most importantly, their kids just never let us forget that they're there to be our family. And then secondly, I am just really inspired by the WACT's ability to maintain such a strong Jewish life in a community made of so many different types of Jewish students. We have people who have never really tapped into their Jewish past, and this is their first encounter with Judaism. You have kids who grew up with a strong Jewish background, but, you know, kind of tapped out of it when they got to college and are learning to re-love it. And then you have people who came into Hamilton with a strong Jewish background and they're determined to maintain that. And I'm sure there's so many other types of Jewish students, but it is so important for all of us to have this one place and community to come together and create our own little Jewish community for ourselves. And I do believe that Didy and Devorah have been able to do so. It's because they just give us so many different types of activities. You know, there's challah bakes and Jewish learning classes, weekly matzo ball soup, pop-up tables. And because of all these opportunities and to engage in our Jewish life in different ways, all students find some way to connect with Jewish life at Hamilton. It's kind of impossible not to. And now when I think of my Jewish community, as opposed to just 2 years ago, I don't just think of my shul at home or the friends that I grew up with, but I now think of Chabad. During the year, I spend virtually every holiday, every Shabbat dinner in this Chabad home with new and old faces of Hamilton students. We even have alumni come sometimes. And while I leave Hamilton's campus, I am not expecting to just leave this community behind as I graduate. We will always have these friends, these memories, the alumni network, and most importantly, Didy and Devorah in our corner, even as we graduate. And ultimately, Hamilton's campus has amazing communities. I am so proud to be part of so many, but the one I am most proud of being a part of is Chabad's community. We are a place that welcomes students from all different backgrounds, Jewish, non-Jewish, and we don't just say that, but we really put it into practice. And knowing how important Chabad has been to my Hamilton experience, and honestly how bare my life at Hamilton would be without it, I will forever encourage all students who can to take the opportunity to join this community, and I will forever be proud to be part of Hamilton Chabad. Thank you all for listening to my rant about why I love Chabad, and I'm really excited for the upcoming year and all that this new house will bring. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gabby. To be clear, I did not ask her to go on about why she loves Chabad so much, but thank you, Gabby, for sharing that. And to echo some of the sentiments we often hear, or I've often heard from students. For some students, we have, as Gabby said, students from a very wide, across the spectrum of Jewish observance, and even non-Jewish students who frequent Chabad. And some students have said things to the effect of, this is the first positive Jewish experience I've had. So it's really special that even in a place that typically was not known to have strong Jewish experiences, they can find that at Hamilton. And it's an honor to be part of that, though I do not take all of the credit. Maybe Devorah deserves most of it. So our next guest that I would like to welcome warmly is a father of a student who just graduated a few weeks ago. We're going to miss Grace a lot. Mitch Friedman is from New York City. He is in real estate. I don't want to get in trouble and say the wrong things, but Mitch has become a dear friend, as many parents do. Grace we met right before the pandemic, attended an event, and then everything went into lockdown. But immediately after we came out of COVID, Grace jumped into Chabad and not only got involved and frequented, but really took on the Chabad leadership and became a very active leader. And so through that, I got to meet Mitch. Devorah and I had the pleasure of meeting Mitch and Heidi, and it's been wonderful. So Mitch, as a parent, is going to share what maybe some parents might agree with. Mitch, all yours.
Great. Thank you, Didy. And I'm getting used to my new title of alumni parent. It's been 3 weeks, so we're getting used to that. And, Grace was president for the last school year, co-president for the last school year. And I think that's kind of, for me and our family, just says it all. If you would have told me when Grace started at school, she would have been involved with Chabad, let alone co-president, I think I would have just kind of laughed at you. But it's a testament to what Didy and Devorah have built and what they provide for the students. What I've always said to Didy and Devorah since I first met them is what absolutely astounds me is how they meet the students wherever they are. And Gabby really touched on that all across the spectrum, from non-Jews to devout Jews. They provide a space of comfort, of safety, of family, of familiarity that the students just gravitate towards and arrive at. And Gabby mentioned the care packages during COVID, but it's so much more than that. It's soup on a cold day. It's care packages during finals. It's a space where the students have a sense of stability, especially in the early years of college when they're trying to figure out their own ways. There's a commonality and a comfort that Chabad provides them with that is just outstanding. And they, at least in the case of Grace, they just blossomed and developed. And sure, I'm sure it would have happened without Chabad. I'm not saying Chabad is the only reason, but having that space of familiarity, that comfort, knowing there are people that care for them. Grace would tell me how she, whatever she was doing, it would start with a stop by at Chabad, because she knows the people there care for her. And not only is it Didy and Devorah, but it's all the other students who are seeking the same outlet, and they just meet each other where they are. So from my perspective, and I think, for those of you who were involved in campus this past semester, we all heard about the lockdown and the scare about a potential active shooter. And afterwards, Didy and Devorah kind of reached out to students like, hey, how you doing? Anyone need anything? Anyone want to just come gather and be together? And to me, I couldn't get there in time. And knowing that Chabad was there for our students was very, very comforting to me as a parent. And Grace absolutely thrived there. And that's why they became one of the co-presidents. So I could really go on and on and on, but I think you get the gist. I just hats off to Didy and Devorah. And, the good news is we ran them out of the house. We overran their house and it just couldn't accommodate it. So, Didy will go into the plans, but it's just so exciting to think about what the added space will allow them to grow even further and give even more to the students. So I guess those are my 2 cents. I'm really touched by what Chabad provided to Grace while she was in Hamilton, and that's why I was able to become kind of friendly with Didy and Devorah. And I'm just thrilled to share my perspective.
Thank you so much, Mitch, for sharing that. Overly kind. I want to redirect some of the praise. The community is what it is because of so many amazing parents like you and so many people in the community and friends and everybody who has really made this work. We've been here for 9 years. We've been here all along. We're not the steady thing. The change has been the people that have come through. So obviously, the variables have been the students, and they have really taken it to the next level over the last years. So I want to give credit where credit is due as well. But thank you so much for sharing these last few years with us in the way you have. Our last speaker before the presentation of the actual update on the building, we have a very special guest. There are so many special guests, and so I'm happy that you get to hear from a few of them. When we first moved out to Clinton, the first reaction from a friend of ours who lived in Palm Beach, Florida, was, "Didy, you can't move there. It's a terrible idea. It's cold and it's dark." And it turns out it was correct. No, it's a wonderful place. But a few days after he told me that that was not a good idea, turned out that he had a very good friend who had a daughter who was at Hamilton at the time, who was actually the president of Hillel. And he says, "I think you should meet these people and see what they say." Suddenly his tune changed, and it was a great idea. And so through that wonderful, what we would call Hashgacha Pratis, divine providence, we got to meet the Coopers, who were the first parents that we met, even before having met their daughter, who was a student who has, thank God, just had been blessed with her second child, graduated in 2015. And so Marc Cooper and Debbie Cooper have become very close friends. We became close friends in a very short time. And throughout the years have, even though their daughter was here for barely a year of the time that we were here, and really didn't get to enjoy from the growth that she really started and put into motion, they have continued to be extremely strong and supportive of the community. And so I've asked Marc to join us and share some of his thoughts if he is on. I don't see him. Oh, where is he? Where is he? Marc, are you there?
Now I'm here.
Oh, there he is. Oh, there's Marc. Okay.
It's amazing. It's been 9 years and we haven't aged. So I don't know if that's true, but thank you for having me. And there couldn't be a better organization, both globally and then specifically with Didy, that I would love to talk about. In fact, our history with Chabad, I don't know, goes back 60 years and 50 years from my father back in Long Island, where we grew up. And we've been supporters of Chabad and believers in Chabad since then. And so it's been my privilege through the years actually to meet and be a part of many Chabad rabbis and communities and congregations. And in my personal view is, as I think about the outreach that they do to promote Judaism, I think there's no better organization in the world. What the Rabbi came up with, who was, in my view, one of the great venture capitalists of our time, was to send out these shlichim out to the world, give them seed capital and let them do their work. And the way he trained these people as entrepreneurs to promote the culture, to promote the Judaism, this warmth that Gabby spoke about and Mitch spoke about, this specialness is just second to none. And how they independently with their families create an environment that is just so special, so engaging through externally generated funds, through their own hard work. It's, as we say in the business, it has a multiplier effect, both on the capital that you invest in them and then the work they do externally. Look, from my perspective, there's nothing more important than Jewish outreach. Our biggest challenge we have as Jews is assimilation, and that's where they started their work, which is having this incredibly a non-judgmental, inclusive, warm perspective on everything you do as a Jew is good. I mean, I remember when Rabbi used to say to me, you want to be kosher? You're not kosher, don't worry about it. You want to be kosher once a month? That's good. Because everything is good, right? Because it's all about how do you get people to understand what we're all about. But now we're actually at a fairly frightening point in my view, and I don't mean to be negative, but it is what makes Didy's work and Chabad on campus so important. And the issue is, how do we make sure that our kids, this generation, understands the importance of both Judaism and understands and identifies with the importance of Israel. And we've all heard about BDS movements. We all heard about, unfortunately, Jewish kids who have a more progressive view of the world and view Israel as a negative. These are things that are detrimental to our faith, detrimental to the future of Judaism. And the things you heard from Mitch and Gabby are the methodologies that allow them to embrace those kids and have them understand that the way they're looking at it is not necessarily the way they should be looking at it, and nothing is more important. And if I would tell you that when I think about tzedakah, my number one Jewish tzedakah, which by the way is most of where my tzedakah goes, is to Chabad, for that reason and for the reason of maintaining a level of Judaism, a guard against assimilation, a way of bringing our students into what's important, and not about being religious or being reform or being conservative. It's about understanding. It's about appreciating. It's about knowing what their identity means and how they should fight for it. So Didy and Devorah, I couldn't be more thrilled, and Katie and myself and my family couldn't be more thrilled in supporting you through all these years and in supporting this great addition to what you've done, recognizing Hamilton of 2,000 students, it's a 10% are Jewish. So you don't normally get the religious ones coming to Hamilton, and they've done such a super job, and an amazing job in instilling Yiddishkeit and a sense of belonging that they deserve all the credit. But they exemplify what a great organization Chabad is, and I can't speak about Didy and Devorah and Chabad enough in a very positive way. So, and we will be, despite it's been 9 years, God willing, we will be with you we will be with you for years to come.
This is being recorded.
I know.
Thank you so much, Marc, for your kind and wonderful words. We're now getting to the extra exciting part. So I firstly want to just conclude this part by saying thank you to Gabby and Mitch and Marc for sharing your thoughts. Like I said, this community is made up of individuals. We can be the most wonderful people that people try to convince me of, but we can only do what we do when people reciprocate and join in and help grow that community. So thank you to everyone from everyone in between. And right now I'm going to introduce our special guest who's actually in Israel. So if you're getting tired, it's 2 a.m. for this young man. He is considered in Chabad circles. I'm going to give you a little inside information. Rabbi Broad is really considered to be the guru of building Chabad houses around the world. He's been involved in more Chabad house projects probably than anybody, and successfully at that. That's a nice bonus. And so we got Rabbi Broad involved towards the end of last year to help make this campaign a success and to ensure that this much needed growth that we are experiencing, but the physical space growth would be with success. And so Rabbi Broad, I'm going to turn it over to you, and everybody enjoy. You're muted, Rabbi.
Yes, good evening, everybody, or good morning at 3 a.m. Israel time in Kfar Chabad. Because you're all on here, anybody comes to Israel and wants a private VIP tour of Kfar Chabad, Didy will give you my email. I'll be more than happy to give you that tour. I'm not an alum or don't have any children at Hamilton, but I must say I was really, really moved by both Gabby, Mitch, Marc, your testimonials of what Chabad does on campus. Even though I do this for a living, I must say I've been really moved and excited and really happy to be part of this project. So I'm going to go through a short, maybe a little longer presentation, just to share with you the full scope of this campaign. Yes, no, this is not a solicitation, but this is more of an informative get together tonight. And you're looking at a rendering of what the building is going to look like. Just interesting that this new Chabad house is more than, it's almost quadrupling its size from approximately 2,000 square feet to 4,500 square feet. But the Didy and Devorah and their family have been living at the current Chabad house. Now they're moving over to an adjacent house. So in effect, 4,500 square feet is way more than what they have now. So this is the building you're looking at. But before we can get started, ooh, 1 second. Okay, here we go. So I'm only going to read like 2 or 3 items over here of the vision of Chabad. And I'm going to start with the first one. The need for this building is to meet the needs of the growing number of students participating in programs and activities. I think Marc said if there's 10,000 students and 10% are Jewish, that's 200 Jewish kids. I mean, you need a fairly decent, large space for them. It's also to foster a sense of Jewish pride on campus with a prominent and respectable Jewish center open for all. That alone will enhance so much more the pride of the Jewish students on campus. It will also give them a safe space and to receive the support and guidance they need when they're away from home. So I don't think anybody has a question or an issue about, the reason, the need, the absolute purpose for this new project. And of course, anybody will be interested can reach out to Didy and you will be able to receive this presentation so you can study it further and see exactly the vision for this new center. Now, to be able to create a new center, we had to take away the old center. So here you see almost a chronological order of the picture, starting from the left top, going all the ways down from the building to the top right, all the ways to an empty lot to the bottom, to the top left and going out to the bottom right. And we're ready now to actually bring the new building. It'll happen soon, as we'll see in the timeline. So it's really exciting. Things are moving along nicely. This is some renderings of what the building inside will actually be looking like. And I'm sure it's going to be a lot nicer when all the students are actually there, because that's what really is a place beautiful. It's a smiling faces and the happy students and parents when they will come. So this is what we're looking at. Now take a dive into the finances. Okay, so we're talking about an almost $2 million project. It's purchasing a new home. It's a Chabad center construction of the new home that's going to be brought, soft cost furnishings, capital campaign expenses, and I strongly believe in complete transparency. And that's why when we project a budget, we put absolutely all expenses that may occur, we put them in the projected budget. So we're talking about a close to $2 million project, but there's great news. We're already, like almost 75% there. Like, almost $1.5 million has already been raised, and that's really due to Didy's hard work and the people that you're now on this Zoom, and many of you have already committed to this project. So it's really beautiful. We're down to $495. So right now there is a fundraising goal to raise another $500,000 within a very short period of time. I like when Didy says, "Hey, I'm getting nervous. It's getting closer." And I say, "Hey, relax. You're doing just fine. There are a lot of people you still have to reach out to. Just do your work, one person at a time, and reach out. And things are moving along. Thank God. nicely, but yes, we are getting closer. It's like almost 30 days away for the actual closing, and we're still $500,000 short. And what's most important about this particular campaign, and we'll see a little more about that later, but I already want to mention it now, no mortgage or loans are being projected over here. And that brings a tremendous amount of stability, fiscal stability, and long-term sustainability, because many times organizations put up humongous buildings and suddenly maintenance, utilities, security, and repairs and insurance, all those things were skyrocketing. And where does all that money going to be coming from? Over here, we're talking about this entire beautiful project. And the goal is no loans, no mortgage. So this is exciting. I'm not going to start reading line by line, but I'm just sharing with you so you see that the numbers you saw earlier are actually, taken very, very seriously, where it's coming from. Well, if we talk about soft costs, the architect, interior design, the building permit fees, the playground, all these specific items, you have one line at a time showing you exactly how we arrive at these numbers. We also, of course, put in the Chabad Center construction of 5% contingency, even though it's a signed contract, but we still want to be on the safe side. So there's another 5% there. In soft costs, you have a 10% of another $11,000 to be on the safe side. Same thing with the furnishings. Furnishings is a line item which you can spend as much as you want. You can make a place look even more beautiful, but we put in a fairly basics. It should look really nice. You have the capital campaign expenses. And finally, we're now coming to the timeline. Now, permit me to share with you that I do this quite frequently. I do these presentations in person and on Zoom and meeting with individuals. This is one of the first campaigns, and I've done many campaigns specifically for Chabad on campus, and in many parts of the world I've run these campaigns. This is one campaign which we're exactly, literally on target. And maybe it's because you're not dealing with complete construction from scratch. But in any event, let's go through the timeline. So we have the past. You bought the current building, which is already cleaned away, but you bought this building in 2017. You did renovations, minor renovations in 2017. There was a complete payoff of the mortgage of the building that you bought in 2017 in 2022, due to generous gift of one of the supporters of Chabad at Hamilton. This building was entirely paid off. So we're starting this campaign, or moving along this campaign, starting with a base of debt-free, no mortgage. Now let's take a look at the present. Building permits were submitted in early 22. Building permits were obtained in end of 22, which I must say is phenomenal. Sometimes these things could drag 1, 2, 3 years. It becomes a real pain in the neck, but thank God in this case it was done within a year. Individual major gift solicitations, and I'll clarify what we're talking about over here. I'm sure you're all familiar with the 20-80 rule. 80% of the money comes from 20% of the people. In a capital campaign, sometimes it's 90% of the money coming from 10% of the people. And the reality is a good part of the money of this campaign is indeed coming from 20% of the people. So right now, Didy is still deeply involved in that phase of individual major gift solicitations, even though he's already moving down to lower levels, because thank God many have already joined at the higher levels. That's where that $1.5 million is already in. So he's continuing to do this through the end of July, because that's when all the money has to be in. Demolishing and cleanup already took place in early June, as you saw the pictures before. There will be a groundbreaking ceremony this June 18th. I suspect most of you right now on Zoom will probably not be joining the actual groundbreaking ceremony. But interesting enough, there is a small local Jewish community, which when Didy and his wife Devorah came almost a decade ago, people raised their eyebrows. Who needs Chabad, and why do we need Chabad over here? And thank God many of the local Jewish community members have started to participate more at Chabad. So We look forward for them participating, and I've heard from Didy that a number of people have said they will be traveling 1, 2, 3 hours to make it to the groundbreaking ceremony. That's exciting. Purchase and move into the new house is going to take place in August. The Wax family has now been detoured out of their current home into a temporary place, but then they're going to be moving into an adjacent home of the Chabad house in August. And setting, site work, and construction, all of this will take place already beginning in July, and it should be completed by October. And therefore, there will be a community-wide campaign reaching out to all the alumni and the parents of students that are alumni and friends to do the last push to, even though the real goal is to raise all this money in advance, but I think we'll all be celebrating if we'll say, wow, all the money was raised and now we're raising more money for the sustainability or the, putting aside money in reserves for Chabad to have of this wider campaign. And finally, put in your calendars, Hanukkah 2023, wherever you're from, make that drive for the actual inauguration of the new building. So this is a timeline which, as I mentioned before, it's exciting that it's all in place and it's all moving along wonderfully. Now, how is this campaign actually going to happen? Here to the right, you can see the building. It's a little squeezed down, but it's a beautiful looking building, as you can see. And here we're going to actually see the 80% of the money coming from 20% of the people. So the lead gift and the visionaries, this is really where the campaign is at. We're showing the naming of the Chabadis is reserved. There still is a place for the campus dedication because we're dealing with several buildings, at least 2 buildings on the property. The main dining hall, the multi-purpose room, which is really where everything takes place, regularly. That's where all the students get together and have the holiday meals and whatever exciting activities take place is there. I know the sanctuary has been already dedicated, or at least that gift has already been submitted, and many other dedications have already been brought in. Devorah's kitchen is really probably the next most exciting item after the main dining hall, because that's, again, where really, I see Gabby smiling. You can identify with the Hamantash bake and the challah bake. Okay, and finally, we move down to the founders. Now, as you see, lead gifts begins at 360. Visionaries are 100,000 plus. Founders are starting at 25 plus, and finally, builders. We're going to be opening up this campaign eventually, especially when we have the community-wide campaign, opening it up to absolutely everybody. If we can get 100 people giving $1,800, you can make the calculation yourself and see what it arrives at. And so we're excited. Now, okay, this is a home run coming from Brooklyn. That's what we'd like to refer this as. That's where I was born and raised, in Crown Heights. So the property, this particular property, is debt-free, as already mentioned before. Building permit has been obtained. The property is an easily accessible and visible location, which is really one of the most important things for students on campus. And the organization is fiscally responsible with a 0 annual deficit, which is very important. Actually, there's been a consistent growth of revenue with modest annual surpluses, and that's exactly how it should be and should continue being that way. Didn't Gabby say he's going to be around, for many years to continue? So I hope everybody, even when their students continue to graduate, will continue to support Chabad at Hamilton. There's an increasing pool of new donors supporting annually, which it's natural because the moment new students arrive and their parents identify what their children are excited about and happy about, so they continue supporting or start supporting Chabad. And finally, this campaign has already raised 1,322. It's less than 1.5 because we have over there $150,000 we're expecting from the security grant that we should be receiving. So we have a committee, a finance committee, and let me share the reason for the finance committee. I strongly believe, as I mentioned earlier at the beginning of this presentation, in complete transparency. And I would like that every donor should feel comfortable that when they're making a gift for the capital campaign, 100% of that gift is going for the capital campaign. We're not taking anything off for anything else. A separate account has been opened specifically for the capital campaign. Nobody has ever questioned or doubted any of the trust of Didy and Devorah and how they're running the Chabadas. It's so beautiful and so modest with in terms of their salary and expenses. But this lends a whole new level of integrity for this campaign. So we have a beautiful committee, and here you see smiling faces. That's really the ultimate of the entire campaign, to have hundreds and hundreds of students coming for generations to come in this Chabad house with smiling faces, being proud Jews and becoming being healthy, mentally healthy students and fulfilling their missions on campus. That's what it's all about. So I thank you all for listening, and with Didy's permission, if you could just unmute if anybody would like to ask any questions about this presentation, anything specific. I'll try to answer any of your questions. I guess all you got to do is just unmute yourself if you'd like to ask a question, and we'll engage a couple of questions. We'll permit for a moment of silence. Didy, could people unmute themselves, or everybody's just so comfortable and happy?
So Didy, how many people will the plan for the house, how many people can fit there for dinner in the new house?
In the new house, in the big room that you see over here, this is set to proportion. You can easily fit over 50 people, but if you do it even a little bit, tighter, you can easily fit 80, 90, and even 100 people.
And how many people?
Yes.
How many people do you typically get for Friday night on Friday nights?
It can range. We had Shabbat dinners with as many as 80 people, I believe, last semester. And this, again, when I say you can fit 100 people here, that's if you're taking every inch of space and moving any tables away and having no couches. So this comfortably will fit up to 50 people, which was our average last semester. We don't plan to stay still. We plan to, God willing, grow. Students who are on the call can vouch for our desire to continue to grow. So yeah, we were squeezing in. If there was anything more than 40 this past semester, there'd be a lot of squeezing in. There was a Shabbat dinner where I think we had a trustee come by, and there were 80 people sitting in the kitchen, on the front porch. There were just people everywhere. So this will allow everyone to sit under one roof. I hope it's as fun. I had one parent set to private text me now that she was upset that it wasn't mentioned, that it was very exciting when they came for Parents Weekend last year, that we were sitting in the mud outside in a tent, so that some people might miss that. So I apologize, but we will try to have mud in the back available to those who need that experience too. But this will definitely be more comfortable for that.
Wow.
I have a question about the making of gifts. Are you looking for gifts in their entirety this year? Are you open to multi-year pledges? What sort of structures are you looking at?
So usually a capital campaign can be multiple years, 2, 3, 4 years, of course, depending how large that gift would be. But yeah, that's the difference between an annual and a capital campaign. Annual campaign is to contribute for the annual, for the bread and butter, so to say, for the operation of the current year. Whereas a capital campaign is typically given over 2, 3 years. So, yeah. I mean, thank you for asking that question, because there may be others that are thinking about, the gift they'd like to make can be given over 2, 3, 4 years. And I will just point out one last thing. Any gift to the capital campaign is really meant to be above and beyond the annual campaign. A capital campaign, we can't afford to receive a generous gift for the capital campaign and then do away with the annual campaign. As I said, the annual campaign is really the base for everything being done on campus on a day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month basis.
How does this new project compare to other Chabads on campus at similar sized colleges? Sort of like what is there a comparable?
Oh, that's a good question. You're looking to be a future, I guess, entrepreneur or something like. Honestly, it really, any of these campaigns, it all boils down to the rabbi who is conducting the campaign. So in this case, it's Didy and Devorah who. This is what they decided to do, and they're putting up an existing building. It's a prefab building. It's not doing a construction from scratch. Every campaign is very different. Every campaign, depending where you're located, some are in cities, and there's just no breathing space around them. But I've not made an actual comparable between this campaign versus other campaigns with this, a lower student Jewish body on campus. I would just like to say the following. It's not a numbers game. To Didy and to every Chabad rabbi, every one Jewish student is worth the world. And it's important to be there for every single one Jewish student. So whether you're talking about Chabad on Hamilton, which is relatively, a small population, or you're talking about, say, Champaign, Illinois, or other places where we have thousands of Jewish students and may have larger Chabad houses. It's never about a numbers game. It's always about the individual you're servicing, the individual you're there for, the individual you're willing to help. So maybe I'll try to do a kind of a comparison to see, what are the Chabad houses that with small Jewish populations. But there are Chabad houses with even smaller Jewish population. I think recently I came across a Chabad house that has about 50 Jewish students on campus. So I don't get an answer to your question, but it's just sharing with you that it all boils down to the Chabad rabbis on campus.
You made an initial observation on the reception of Chabad in the community when Chabad first arrived. Now you're engaging in a project that doubles the size of the Chabad Center. While Chabad has been primarily focused on the student campus, it does do some work within the community. How do you envision this new project to change, if at all, the mission to the local community?
Well, I guess Didy's gonna have to answer that question, but I think the mere fact that you do have a larger space, a permanent larger space, will enable Didy and Devorah to do more programs for the community. And Didy, you have anything you'd like to add to that?
I mean, we're here first and foremost for the students, but we, as Chabad, we do not turn anybody away. But our ambition, so to speak, are for the community that wants to be served, and anyone who is not served. Thank God, we are fortunate to live, 15 minutes away from a wonderful Jewish community, and the goal is to serve those who are not yet served and would find a home here. The larger space is really to serve what we already do and to be able to do it more efficiently and more beautifully and more comfortably and in a better way for everybody.
I guess to paraphrase what you said, Didy, now is you're going to continue doing active outreach on campus and be there for the local Jewish community. And maybe one day you'll start also doing more active outreach for the local community.
I have a very specific answer to Joe's question. Devorah and I, in my freshman year, we actually held like a little Hebrew school for some of the kids in the community, maybe like 5 or 6 kids, but then it became too difficult for Devorah to manage because in the house when we would teach Hebrew school, her own kids would come home, and then they were just, it was too hard for Devorah to try to be a mom at the same time as be a Hebrew teacher. And we were actually talking about how exciting it could be to bring back Hebrew school, because we couldn't do it this year, because now we have a different house for Devorah can leave her kids for a second, come be there for the local community, and then return and do her mom duties again. So I think that it's so exciting that we have just a different location, so that Devorah and Didy don't have to do everything in their own home. Now it's a center and a home at the same time, but still with that same homey feeling.
Didy, you should nominate Gabby ASAP as the president of Chabad.
Can I say something? Didy?
Yes, and then we're going to close up in a second, but go, Sandra.
I'm going to be very quick. It's not just Didy and Devorah, who are phenomenal, but we were there because our grandson graduated in 21, and he was the one who brought us to Chabad. And I sat and observed Didy and Devorah's children helping the adults cut their meat, get glasses of wine, tell the Torah portion. It's the whole family. And the beauty of Didy and Devorah that have allowed all of this to happen. My husband graduated in '60 when it was anti-Semitic, and the Jews were not allowed to be in any of the fraternities. By the time my 3 children graduated and my grandson got there, Didy and Devorah were mercifully there. And we have a granddaughter at McGill who said to me, Nana, if you're feeling down, you have to go to Chabad. It's everywhere and it's so well respected. But ours in Clinton is the best that's ever going to be because of the Wax family. I hope that was fast enough.
That was fast and really beautiful. And thank you for bringing in a whole new generation of grandparents. And I want to wish you and your husband many happy, healthy years of nachas from your children and grandchildren. And you added something really, really beautifully to this entire presentation. Thank you so much. I'm going to say
Sandra,
goodbye
you're
to
always
you from,
spot on. Thank you.
I'm going to say goodbye to you from Kfar Chabad, Israel. And
Devorah's going to close the call.
Yes.
Devorah, are you on the line? Rabbi Brod, thank you so much, and sorry for waking you up in the middle of the night. Devorah?
I just wanted to take the opportunity to, am I on? Yes, all right. Just wanted to take the opportunity to thank you all so much for coming. Like Didy said, there are students, alum from a while back, parents, family, friends, and we appreciate all of your participation. And to those of you that gave to this campaign, thank you so much. And if you haven't, don't worry, Didy will be after you. So look out. And we're really excited for the opportunity that this new space will bring, and the all the new opportunity this new space will bring. So thank you again and have a great night.
And I do have to add that the community has accepted this very well, which they would not have done if it weren't for you two.
Thank you. Thank you,
for the
everyone, so
information.
much. Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you.